Alright folks, welcome to part 2. Jumping right into 4 cool products I'm going to set up to automate a few functions in my shop. Now this isn't a sponsored video, so feel free to shop around and find what works best for you. I'll have links in the description to read more about what I'm going to be using, but to start things off, I'm going to be utilizing Google Home's Assistant to run everything that I'm going to be installing. I'm not going to go over how to set it up because they make it very simple to get started, and there are a lot of guides out there already. Next up is a Chromecast to add some smart features to my basic TV. What's nice about this is it has services like YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Pandora, and a lot more, and I can control all of it with either my phone or just my voice thanks to the speaker. And if you wait for special occasions like Black Friday, Google usually heavily discounts them when purchased together, which is what I did. These are also quick and easy to set up as long as your TV is in range of the Wi-Fi. You might be able to do the same with Alexa and the Amazon Fire Stick, but I haven't tried them out yet, so I would do some research before buying them. Next up is a smart switch by GoSund, I think. This will replace a standard wall switch, and even though installation is very simple, if you've never worked with your home's electric before, I would do a lot more research before starting here, or better yet, call an electrician. Shouldn't take them more than 15 minutes to install this. After turning off the breaker and double checking for lack of current, I can pull the switch out. It's important to note that the switch requires you to use the black wire, ground wire, and even the neutrals. In the box you should see something like this: neutrals tied together, a ground wire connected to the switch, and a black wire on each terminal screws. How this translates to the smart switch is the green goes to ground, white goes with white, the black wire coming from the power source gets the red wire on the switch, and the remaining black wires go together. Sounds confusing, but the instructions that come with it make it really simple. Once it's together, carefully place it back in the box. Turn the breaker on, and it should work as a simple switch right out of the box. The smart features come from connecting it to an app called Smart Life. Once again, if you run into any problems, there's a lot of guides out there on this already, but once it's connected, it can also be combined with Google Home's Assistant app, so voice commands can be used with this as well.
Hey Google, turn on the workshop lights.
Sure, turning the workshop lights on.
And last but not least is a smart outlet by Teckin. These come in a 4-pack and will allow me to schedule and vocally command my exhaust fan to turn on and off, or really anything that can be plugged into it. It gets set up through the Smart Life app, just like with the light switch. The instructions are easy to follow, and I'll leave a link in the description on how to set all of these products up, and if you run into any issues, just leave me a comment below, and I'll do my best to help you out.
Hey Google, turn on the fan.
Okay, turning the fan on.
Hey Google, turn the fan off.
You got it, turning the fan off.
Next up is going over what I chose for both my storage solution along with my workbench and table saw stand. These types of shelves are made out of wire and can hold a ton of weight. I'll leave links in the description on where to get these as well, but to set them up only takes minutes and no tools are required. I originally purchased the cheap ones off Amazon and I regretted it. They're a lot thinner and started to rust within a month. The reason I'm going this route is I need something strong and minimalistic so it can hold a lot of weight while not taking up too much space. I'm also dealing with a moisture problem, so I don't want to make something out of wood and just need something out of the box that won't rust or grow mold. here's where the smart outlets really come in handy. It's not a good idea to have a ton of these cans out in the open where you hang out because of the fumes they release over time. So I'm going to schedule the fan to kick on for 15 minutes every day to mitigate anything that might seep out of the cans. But once that's all set up, I'm going to start assembling the parts I ordered to make a custom table saw stand. It features 27-inch posts with basic casters and assembles the same way the shelves did. The shelf size is 24 inches by 24 inches and has a support bar for a bottom instead of another shelf, which I'll show why in a minute. Once it's together, I'll fasten the saw to the stand with a couple of nuts and bolts and washers. Thanks to locking casters and the support bar, it won't move or tip over when in use. I also don't run large sheet goods through my saw, so I'll be good. And since I didn't use a shelf on the bottom, I'm able to wheel this over small objects to save more space. Next up is my workbench. I'm going to do something a little different here by removing the adjustable feet along with the top grommets, which you'll see why in a second. After I'm done with that, I'll flip the post upside down and slide in full stem casters instead of the threaded casters I used on my table saw stand. These can take a lot more weight, and I'll use the threads on the top to hold down a makeshift work surface later on. The shelf size is 24 inches by 48 inches and goes together the same way the shelves did. Once together, these things can hold a ton of weight and are very rigid. Next up is the actual work surface. I'm using a 1/2 inch MDF, which is weak by itself, but I'll show an easy way to enforce it later. I'll mark my corners and drill down enough space to hide the head of the bolt I'll be using to hold the surface down. Once the surface is fastened down, I'll add a few blocks to support the middle. Now I'm going to cover it with a sheet of metal I picked up at Lowe's. You can either screw this down or glue it down. I'm really not sure which one would work better because the screws stick up, while the glue wouldn't allow you to take it back apart without breaking it. I'm going to go with screws for now. I also ended up adding an extra support block in the middle, but already I'm very impressed with the setup. It's just slightly shorter than my table saw to make for an easy outfeed transition. So everything else going forward is pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just going to stop talking and let you enjoy the rest of the episode in peace. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again for watching. I will see you in the next episode.